Hello, all of you. Welcome to yet another lesson on this easy cockpit. It has been interesting and rewarding for me to make lessons on easy cockpit. Firstly, it has been very challenging to make the graphics and etc. And secondly, I find that there is not much of resources on the net for if one were to learn about easy cockpit. So to that extent, I feel kind of encouraged to make these lessons on easy cockpit and present them. And for the kind of limited audience that it attracts, I think it is inviting fairly good amount of encouraging viewership and response. So I'm sure you are going to enjoy this lesson. This is a lesson on this avionics. I'm sorry. It is the lesson on Synoptics pages of the easy cockpit selection. That is the menu selection. In the last lesson, we have seen that avionics and what are the provisions of those menu, etc. In this lessons, we are going to learn about synoptic situation. Synoptics. Synoptics, again, like I told you in avionics, the terminology could be little bit misleading, but what it eventually means, all your technical systems presented in a logical manner in this group is called the synoptics. So let's go through the lesson uh, one one by one. But I may as well warn you that I'm not going to cover every page in great detail, because these particular pages will be covered in detail in the particular system lesson. So I'm just going to briefly touch upon each page, each synoptic page, and give you a brief introduction, and the details of which we are going to learn in its individual systems lessons. Okay, let me take you to the cockpit just to bring you back on the frequency, just to brush up. Easy cockpits have four displays, as I been covering in my earlier lessons. So the multi-functional display unit (MFDs) are the ones which are in the center, top and bottom, two of them, in which the synoptics sub option is selectable. Again, we will be using the CCD, the cursor control device, to highlight this option of synoptics, and giving it a click will pop up the synoptic option of the windows. Unlike some other windows which can be merged with this two-third and one-third windows, synoptics option cannot be merged, and it doesn't present a full picture, which means that it's adequate. This provision is adequate to present the picture. Okay, now pressing the synoptic option on the cursor control device will bring us to this particular display. What are the displays? What are the menus which are available in this option? We will go through them one by one. Firstly, the state, STAT, the status, the present status of the aircraft. The engine, ELEC, electrical, fuel, hydraulic, ECS, and bleed and test. These are the menus which are available. Once again, using the CCD, you will place the cursor over that menu bar, and giving it a click will take us to the appropriate page of the menu options. Now, in this, the current status of the aircraft is being displayed. This is the display which would normally fly in a cruise flight level, because this generally gives, as you could make out, that it gives generally all the flight many important parameters which are required for the flight. Now let me draw your attention to start with, the hydraulic quantity is available, and the electrical system summary is available: generator 1, battery 1, and the voltage of the left hand and right hand bus bars, and pressurization system. Here the oxygen uh, contents, or the oxygen pressure, is being highlighted. And there is, if you come below, there is the status uh, option, and the fault option is also available. These two are very important: the current status of the aircraft, if there are any failures, and whatever is the fault and its options, uh, or its failures and the services which are not available, are being shown in this lower portion of this windows. Now the status portion has been highlighted, and in this particular picture, it reflects, it indicates that the generator 1 is not available, and the hydraulic pump 1 is not available. And uh, if you had pressed the fault option, it would again show some more faults that are existing. If you go on to the right hand side, here it says approach and landing, go around procedure with one engine failure. Obviously, this particular situation reflects an engine failure situation. Similarly, for any failures, you would get the current status and the systems which are not being available, which are faulty, and the procedures which the pilot needs to follow would be reflected in this particular option. This I am trying to highlight because I find that sometimes uh, you are not very important information is reflected in this portion, especially uh, incrementals to VREF, if flaps are not available, etc. So this, at many times at the training stage, people don't pay adequate emphasis in teaching this particular aspects, and we do not get used to this provision till much later as you fly. So it's for that reason I am taking some special time to explain this particular provision. Of course, we are going to see in detail as and when we cover in the systems failures, and what is the message is going to be. We are going to cover in its individual system. But this is a provision, this is a window which is very important, and I want you all to understand it very clearly. Especially this status fault would give you much more information when you have a critical situation. So that's what I want you all to understand. If you notice that engine parameters are not given in the status, because these engine parameters are reflected elsewhere, right in front of the pilot in the PDU display. Therefore, here the engine parameters not displayed. Rest, it gives a general view of what the current aircraft, how it is performing, etc. Okay, next is the engine page. This selection, I'm not going to go into great detail. As you can see, it gives the N1, ITT, N2, fuel flow, oil status, oil pressure, oil temperature, and engine vibration. And of course, the APU status and parameters are also shown. And for cruise, you can see there are two options, sync N1 and sync N2. That means you don't want any differential in the engine RPM. So you want to sync one of the engines with the other. So if you press sync N1, the N2 will get synchronized with N1. Similarly, the other option, and of course the anti-ice option is also being shown. So we are going to learn this in the engine, the other failure indications, etc. We will learn it in the engines chapter or lesson. This is the display for the electrical system, and as you can see, the generator 1, APU, battery 1, battery 2, generator 2, all the statuses are available, and the inline and the bus bar inline and the bus bar connectivity status is also shown, and the amperage voltage is shown everywhere, and the external power status is also shown. This display appears when the pilot presses the fuel top sub menu selection. Now, as you can see, both the wing tank status is shown, and there are two other center tanks, forward tank and the rear tanks fuel contents is shown, and there are two pumps which are displayed if they are in the working condition, or if they are working as per the status condition, and different fuel contents are displayed. And there are some press buttons in which the wing 1, wing 2, if you were to if you want to know how much is in each tank, then you can press the option and find out. And fuel used is also shown as the aircraft uses fuel, and the crossfeed option. When the pilot uses the crossfeed, then the status and the display will change accordingly. And of course, there is a push button with which the pilot can reset the fuel used before the flight if it has not been achieved by the aircraft system. This is the display which you will get when you press the hydraulic menu of the horizontal menu bar. As you can see, it's very elaborate, and almost all the systems which are being operated by the hydraulic system is being shown, and you will get a very good understanding of the system working, even though in the initial days it may be a wee bit confusing, especially in the pump status, etc. Otherwise, it's very elaborate, as you can see. This is the system display for the pressurization and of course the air conditioning system as well. And of course, it shows the oxygen systems status also. Now, this will require much detailed explanation. There are several possibilities which are interactive possibilities which the pilot can control, especially in the pressurization mode, manual mode, and the auto mode. And as you can see, this picture itself is a little bit complicated, and we are going to learn this particular system in much greater detail when we come across this particular system. Here you are seeing the page for the bleed pneumatic system. The pneumatic system supplies air to pressurization, air conditioning, and of course the anti-icing system. This particular display is for the entire pneumatic system, and for both environmental control, that is the air conditioning, and the pressurization and the anti-icing system. So as you can see, the air is being supplied by the APU also, and there are two different stages of the engine, two pressure stages of engine supply, and this will need more explanation when we come across that particular system, because this may not be as explanative. This display itself may not be as explanative as the system knowledge that is required. It's for that reason we will be spending more time in this particular system. Okay, the last option of the test option. This is one of the finest aspects of the easy cockpit which I found. Unlike in any other aircraft, where you have to scan so many other panels and operate several other switches to carry out the pre-flight tests and check for indications. Here, this page is so simple, concise, precise. As you can see, the entire system, you are seeing press buttons in this particular panel, in this particular display. All you have to do is place the cursor over any particular highlight, particular button, and press it. Sometimes you may have to, the procedure will demand that you press it for some more time. Once you press it, it will carry out the built-in function, built-in test function, and give you the display of its serviceability immediately. As you can see here, the user has placed the cursor over the APU oil button, and he pressed it, and the system indicated, the test indicated that the APU oil level is adequate, satisfactory for the flight. Similarly, you can see every system has been covered: TCAS, CVR, weather radar. Of course, when you press the weather radar, then you have to correlate with the display on the different display. It could be on the top INAV display, and of course the other system displays. So there are different other displays you may have to check, but eventually it's here the status, it will just give a okay or no. For another example, there is a provision called horizon battery. As you will learn that there is an inbuilt battery which is provided for the artificial horizon, that is the standby artificial horizon, and it will show its status, whether it is charged, and or whether voltage is okay or no. Similarly, for every other, every system, as you can see, can be tested, and this you will find it so simple, straightforward, and it's so convenient. All you have to do is just keep taking the cursor one by one, and keep pressing it. Of course, you should have prepared the rest of the cockpit before coming to this particular option or the page. We come to the end of the lesson. What I have done is I have just given you a brief introduction to the Synoptics options, and briefly introduced you to what are the systems which are being covered. It's like any other aircraft, but these are the systems which are being covered, and it made your life easy, but there's lots to learn. There is lots to learn, because each valve, each indication will mean several things to the pilot, and then a good understanding will help you becoming much more professional in handling the plane, especially the systems and failures thereof. So we are going to learn each page in great detail as and when we come across that particular system. As usual, I hope you enjoyed and you got a fair idea of the easy cockpit systems indications. As you would have seen, it's making your life much more easy, and your situational awareness in the cockpit is much higher. So of course, the learning curve is a little bit longer, so you have to learn it, and then of course, then you will find it very convenient to operate this particular aircraft. Please feel free to offer your comments, and particularly constructive comments are most welcome. And I'm sure those of you who are going to undertake typewriting on 2000 will find this lesson very convenient, and offer your comments on the on the email ID given below. And please feel convenient to visit my website and YouTube channel for more general aviation lessons as well. Thank you all for going through this lesson patiently.